Hello grade 12s and welcome back to the Gene Tiki online teaching platform. I'm Simulus Yenga and I'll be your instructor for this video. In this section, we'll be investigating the rate of reaction between sodium thiosulfate and hydrochloric acid. Let's get started. Here's what we will need for this experiment. Sodium thiosulfate in solution, 4 beakers marked with an X at the bottom, a stirring rod, a graduated cylinder, and hydrochloric acid. Let's get started with experimental procedure. Alright, so for this experiment, what we're going to do first is create varying solutions of the sodium thiosulfate solution, meaning that we're going to have varying amounts of the sodium thiosulfate and water in each beaker. In the first beaker, we're going to put in about 50 milliliters. Remember to always measure from the bottom of the meniscus. That's now 50 milliliters of the sodium thiosulfate. In the next one, we're going to have 40 milliliters and top it up with 10 milliliters of distilled water. Next one will have 30 milliliters of sodium thiosulfate with 20 milliliters of distilled water. The last one has 20 milliliters of sodium thiosulfate and 30 milliliters of distilled water. Now for the varying amounts of water. First one has no water. Second one has 10 milliliters of water. Third one has 20 milliliters of water, and the last one 30. There we go. Now we've got 4 different solutions. Just remember to always stir just so it's well mixed. Now our solutions are ready. What we will then do now is essentially add 5 to 10 drops of hydrochloric acid in each beaker and stir, then take the amount of time that is taken for the solution to essentially change color into a milky white color. Let's now get our time a bit closer. We're just going to start it already. Then the values we're going to extrapolate from the recording. There you go. I'll stir each one. And note the time that it takes for each one to essentially change color. I see this one's already changing. You will essentially stop your timer for each one once the X at the bottom of the beaker essentially disappears. This one is now done. Now that one is done. Now this one is done. The last one normally takes the longest. And now it's done. Now let's look at the experimental results. The results of the experiment are stated below. We essentially calculated the concentration in each beaker, then stated down the reaction time that we had recorded. We then calculated the reaction rate, which is simply 1 over the reaction time in the last column in the table. Now let's plot down these results. Essentially, on the left, we've got the reaction time, then on the right, we've got the reaction rate. We'll be focusing more on the reaction rate. The reaction rate gives us now a linear graph, which then makes this a first-order reaction. We have now investigated the rates of reaction between sodium thiosulfate and hydrochloric acid. I'll see you in the next video.